think a lot of discussions about sexuality and whether casual sex is okay or not, or good or not, are limited by people not acknowledging the ways that psychosexual development, like all development, happens in stages. The discourse around this topic tends to be so black and white, and I see people getting really hung up on whether people thrive in their hoe phases or think fondly of them looking back in the future. And I don't necessarily think that's as central a question as people think when asking themselves, is it okay for people to have sex, which we simply love asking. Obviously, with something as intimate and potentially consequential as sex, we have to have some kind of guardrails in place to protect ourselves and others. But I think that a lot of people do need to experience themselves wilding out a bit to gather the personal data necessary to mature psychosexually, and I think that is okay, even good. Sexuality is such a treasure trove of information about ourselves. Like, it's not just about physical pleasure, it's deeply psychological, and we learn things as we engage with it at every stage of our lives. Good things can come from both the void and from chaos, from absence and from overwhelming presence. Most of us aren't drawn to the same kinds of sexual experiences for the entirety of our lives, in the same way that we're not drawn to the same food or friends or work or philosophy or whatever else for the entirety of our lives. The forbidden or the unexplored or unintegrated are cornerstones of eroticism, and we're often drawn to experiences that allow us to meet unmet parts of ourselves. That's something that I just think gets missed with sexuality. And obviously, if you meet a forbidden part of yourself enough, it's no longer forbidden, so it's not going to have the same psychological hold over you forever. I think a lot of people, in their attempts to protect themselves from the potential or realistically inevitable psychological struggle that can come from fully engaging with our sexuality, are too quick to point to sexual pendulum swinging as a problem that must be avoided at all costs, rather than as a potentially necessary or inevitable stage of development for the people doing it. It's very tempting to believe that we can learn everything we need to learn while staying neatly contained, but I don't think that's realistic. Sexuality is not an energy that can be neatly contained. Whatever we repress just comes out in other ways, and I think our obsession with containing and controlling it is limiting in ways that go far beyond sex. I think Carl Jung was really real when he said that there can be a secret order in our disorder. We can't always bypass the need for experience, and if we expect every choice we make to have a clearly defined ROI before we consider making it, we are going to limit ourselves. A lot of people feel shame about periods of their lives where they perhaps had a lot of casual sex, even if they maintained good sexual health during it and it was all consensual, because they feel uncomfortable about their own wildness and never really face that. In our society, we don't teach people how to integrate and learn from their experiences. We just sort of look at everything sexual through this good-bad binary, and it's very easy for nuance to go out the window when shame is at the head of the table, and I really think it is still at the head of the table a lot of the time and driving discussions about sexuality in really unhelpful ways. Nietzsche apparently said that in his time, all psychology so far has got hung up on moral prejudices and fears. It has not dared to descend into the depths. I wonder if he was good in bed.